Welcome to This Week in College Hockey. A lot going on in college hockey this week. Probably one of the crazier weekends, and it wasn't NCHC and it wasn't Big Ten related, oddly enough. I thought one of the more exciting weekends I've had in college hockey covering it in the last 5 years, what I saw last weekend. It prompted me to text my good friends Tyler and Hayden Hennon. That's how much it got me going this weekend. Tony Scott here. We have Sydney Wolf and Jess Myers. How are you guys doing today?
I'm packed into my old high school jersey.
Why did you make us wear our high school stuff today?
Because it's state tournament week. Come on.
I gotcha.
It's the greatest celebration of hockey in the state of hockey. I just thought it was appropriate. I said jerseys. I didn't say it had to be high school jerseys, but I pulled out the old 1986.
Well, since you rocked the War Road one, I'm like, all right, I'll put on the Southwest jersey.
Southwest,
and
the classic.
I hurriedly got I
do not have my own high school jersey, so
I got you Cathedral one.
Cathedral ones, yeah.
As I told Tony before the show, this is the last jersey I have actually worn in a game where they kept score. This was my JV 1986 War Road High School goalie jersey.
I love that.
And
that's a good look.
Sadly, I used to wear full goalie gear under this thing, and it was loose. So
I like that. I really do. I could remake that thing really quick.
The old Boston Bruins replica. For
I
a while
like
there,
that.
yeah?
Is sharp. Yeah. That is really sharp. I really like that.
Good look for the Warriors.
How are you doing today, Sydney?
Doing good. It's been a long week. Last week was a little wild because it was
sick,
sections
and
week.
You got two. Did you do 2 section finals?
Yeah, and my entire family had a very bad stomach bug, and I'm a tough person with sickness. I really am. I'm very tough, and I was supposed to do that post-game interview for Moorhead, and I'm like, I was like, Tony, I can't.
So you missed that one. I got you.
So I went to the game, but I didn't talk to anybody because I don't want to go sit by a bunch of people and like talk to everybody, be like breathing my like disease on them. But I was like, I don't think I can do it.
So I got that one. I did the backup goalie for the Spuds on my way back from.
By the Andover game, I was like pretty much good again. But I was like,
oh, I'm glad you didn't do that because I really wanted to interview KJ Sauer and I got that yesterday.
Yeah,
so
well that was a fun game. So I was glad I went to that one. So that was a fun one. And I said this on our late night pod last week too, but shout out to the Furniture and Things staff. They treated me well there. They wiped off the glass for just me to take photos.
Yeah,
I didn't even ask; they just did it. So
that was a fun little
shout out Elk River.
late night after hours YHH Thursday night. Chris
Joey
Long
Memes
jumps
was on.
Joey Memes, the whole
MN
team.
Hockey Dog.
Yeah, they're all on there. There was everyone came on.
Since you mentioned it, by the way, quick shout out to Chris Long. He gets an award from the MSHSL for his
I saw that.
service there. And his daughter made the state tournament. I think it's U12
12B.
She plays for that
Roseville Matamidi silver.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good cool stuff for the Long family.
Yeah, absolutely. He's like, come and see me at the desk. I'm like, as an unaccredited media member, I'd be happy to come see you at the desk, but they might not let me into the desk unless I have my media pass. It's just the whole media thing with MSHSL is so strange.
It's stringent.
It's just weird. If there's 31 Minnesotans in the NCAA Frozen Four, I can make a case for why I should be able to come to the Frozen Four in Boston. When there's 5, I don't even bother. It was in the Twin Cities. I didn't even bother. Like, what's the point? There weren't any Minnesotans. I'm here to cover Minnesotans playing their
there
sport.
weren't very many that year.
No,
it was
kind of bummed. Denver,
Michigan,
right?
Denver.
There was a handful, but
there was like one
not
or two
enough
in
to like.
Michigan.
I want to go cover it. I want to be in the rink all 3 days. It's like no, but when it was Minnesota State, Minnesota, and then a handful of kids on Michigan and Denver combined, it was well worth the trip. And Jess and I have a good time that weekend. We really did. It was a fun weekend.
Speaking of Denver, I went there last weekend.
That's right.
Saw the reemergence of the Minnesota Wild after a 3-week break. Got to talk to the 3 Olympians, which was really cool. I got to say this. Brock Faber, who I've covered since he was, playing in the national team development program before he started with the Gophers, literally watched him grow up before my eyes. I thought about this talking to him in the locker room in Denver about the experience of winning a gold medal because he's been on an Olympic team before. And you talk about the highs and lows in your career. I've been in a lot of locker rooms after a team has lost the Frozen Four. I have never seen a player as devastated as Brock Faber was after that overtime loss to Quinnipiac in 2023 in Tampa. I mean, he was absolutely inconsolable. And I saw, Bob Motzko would go up and put his arm around him, and there was a long hug. It was a touching moment. It really was, to think about how close this team had come, how bonded they were, and you knew after that night, Faber was going to the Wild, Nyes was going to the Maple Leafs, Lacombe was going to the Ducks. I mean, it was over in that moment. So to see just how unbelievably broken up he was and emotional he was at losing that game, to see him in the aftermath of winning a gold medal, what a cool moment.
My favorite moment post-medal was those guys at the bar, and Faber had his glasses upside down.
So good for him. Man. And great family, Jay and Carrie Faber from Maple Grove. I'll admit, I texted Jay during the Olympics at one point, and I said, Jay, if you're going to sit next to Keith Tkachuk, you're going to have to realize you're going to be on TV a lot.
Yes.
And Jay texted me back. He said, well, I have a face for radio, so it works out well.
Perfect. I love Fabe. Such a good guy.
Just such a great family, and congratulations to all of them.
Last time I saw Carrie, I was at Shields over Christmas and looking for a hat or a T-shirt or something for Christmas present. All of a sudden, someone puts their hand over my eyes. And I'm like, who is doing this? I'm like, I have no idea who this is. And it turned out it was Carrie Fabers. I gotcha. And I'm like, just a good family, good peeps. I love the Fabers.
Good people. Carrie still claims, by the way, that Brock was maybe a better running back than he was a defenseman.
He didn't play football for very long. Yeah. In baseball, everything kind of ended after about 11 or 12 years old.
I think he made the right choice.
I think he did just fine.
Much like TJ Oshie deciding he wasn't going to play basketball. I think
pretty good choice.
Worked out pretty good.
Worked out pretty good. All right, Sydney, where do we go today? I'm just literally doing this, waiting on the CCHA talk.
We're kind of switching it up now because some teams are done now, and we got playoffs coming up, and some teams aren't done now. So it's
some teams are just playing for the finish line, right?
Yeah, it's kind of the weird time of year. So switching things up, thought we would talk about just the final finish to the CCHA and then kind of go through the series, because if anyone listening wasn't paying attention to the CCHA, we knew
You're crazy.
The top
You're crazy
5
if you're
teams
not.
were
it was an insane weekend.
It was so weird because Saturday there was so many things that could happen. The top 5 teams, if you haven't looked at it, in points for the CCHA finished 51, 50, 50, 49, 49. So literally everything
Bowling
on
Green,
the line.
which finished 2 points out of winning the McNaughton Cup, is going on the road.
On the road.
Yeah. So just
the analogy I saw, it was like those short track speed skating races,
right,
where there's just an insane collision and somebody sticks their toe over the line. That's the Mavericks.
Pretty much.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got Northern Michigan to end the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we talked about it last time where we're like, okay, well, normally, Augustana seems to be the best team, but they were off this weekend. So it was like, okay, well, it's probably not going to be them. And then we're like, okay, well, St. Thomas has to play Bemidji State. They've never won in Bemidji. That's going to be tough. And then Minnesota State got to play Northern, so obviously that's kind of
helped the most.
That helped because
Northern, Lucia, I would have probably been
Northern finished last,
Mankato.
so their season is over.
No, you say got to play Northern, but they had to go to a shootout in the first
that's
game.
my point.
There's no gimmies here.
So every team needed literally every point this weekend. Yeah. 1 point difference would have changed everything.
Northern won the shootout,
Mankato would be tied.
Mankato would have been 50 points.
3-way tie.
Yep.
And I don't know who wins that tiebreaker.
I don't even want to know tiebreakers. I'll just let
St. Thomas would have had the most wins, so I don't know if that would have counted maybe.
You mentioned that the McNaughton Cup was not in the building in Mankato.
It was not.
One of the cooler scenes I saw.
Where was it?
The Mavs skating around with a cardboard cutout of the McNaughton Cup, taking it to their fans.
I don't know.
I would have done the same thing. Did they just leave it at home, or
they'll get it next week?
Because didn't Mankato win it last year?
I don't. Yeah,
probably.
I think so.
I thought so.
I mean, Mankato's kind of the free space in that conference.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know where it would have been.
I read this is like their 11th or 12th McNaughton.
Really?
Won a lot of them. Yeah. So it was just a wild.
So I got to read the text I sent to the Hennon boys. They were my golf partners in the World Tournament for a few summers, so we've become buddies. And they're just good kids. I mean, so I texted them. What did I say? Can only imagine what you guys were doing last night. Hockey gods were on your side. This is on Saturday, after the Friday massacre, what was going on. I go, you moved up 3 spots in the NPI and polished off a case of beer at the same time. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it was very weird.
3 spots. They went from 17 to 14 and did not lift a finger.
Yep.
That was insane. And the thing is, it might be explained, but UMD didn't win. The team that they beat, right? Had UMD won on Friday, I could see them moving up a spot or two, but they won Saturday. That's why they stayed at 14, I think. That's probably why.
And Michigan didn't really pay a price for what's,
a bad
sorry,
loss.
Gopher fans, but that's a bad loss.
Bad loss,
I mean,
yeah.
that was a Gopher team that was in the 40s in the NPI. Granted, with that win over Michigan, they moved up into the the high 30s.
Yeah.
Good for them. But if you're Michigan, that's not a good loss in your building.
Yeah, and they played them tough the next night. And then Hayden says, still have a chance tonight, fingers crossed. And Tyler says, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what all happens tonight in conference play. I mean, they got back to me on those. It was hilarious. And then yesterday I sent them and we'll get to the UMass thing in a second. I sent them, I said, the lighting guy at UMass is also a big Augie fan, apparently.
I know Ryan's listening. Ryan, we'll let you know when we're done. Don't turn the lights off until you hear from us. Okay? Please.
We'll get to that in a second. But what a crazy weekend. And still
wild race to the finish.
It's still, I mean, we were texting with those guys, like still they gotta get at 14, I still think they gotta get to the conference final. And
if you lost right away, then
they're done, right? But I think if they get to the conference final, I think we as Western college hockey fans would be excited to see two CCHA teams in the Sweet 16 tournament.
Can I just point out too, for context? Did Augustana exist 3 years ago? I mean, they're talking about seriously going into the NCAA tournament. And I mean, I was at their first ever game at Wisconsin where they played the Badgers back-to-back nights and didn't score a goal.
No.
Yeah, if they beat St. Thomas to a tournament appearance, then maybe that'd be kind of like a...
That would
We're
be a flex.
newer than you guys, and we made it before.
That would be a flex.
And St. Thomas has only been a Division I program for 5 years.
5.
Let's see.
Yeah,
but
St.
Thomas was a well-established hockey program.
They had nothing.
Yeah.
4? Augustana's year 3 or 4?
3.
3? Yeah, I was going to say they're newer than St. Thomas.
Crazy.
That's insane.
So
such a great job he's done
that
down
Spencer
there.
Penrose, if you look beyond Garrett Raboy, and I don't know what you're looking at, but man, oh man.
It has to be him. I mean, it just has to, especially if they get in.
For folks who don't know, that's the NCAA Hockey Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
The national Coach of the Year.
I think they're going to rename it the Mike Hastings Award eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. He's got so many of them. It's crazy. It's crazy. That was when I learned how many he had. When we were at the Frozen Four in 20. I was like, oh my gosh, how many does he have? It's unbelievable. It's a collection of them. Collection of them.
Remember, all right. Just on that note, by the way, remember when Mike Hastings went to Mankato? I want to say 2012.
Yeah.
And, his history is he had been with the Omaha Lancers
forever.
He's in the Omaha Sports Hall of Fame. And I remember telling a Mankato fan friend of mine, enjoy it while it lasts, because he's just keeping the seat warm until the job in Omaha opens up. Until
UNO.
Until Dean Blaze retires at the time was the conversation. He's going there as soon as he gets a chance. Crazy how it's worked out that he's at a Big Ten school now. He took MSU to a third period lead in the national championship game. Yeah, deservedly so, all those trophies he's got.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's roll through it now. Let's start with St. Thomas, is that what you say?
Yeah, just a couple little
Should I get a rope out? Should I get paper bags?
If you're a Tommy's
do we use
fan,
both hands around your neck as we do this part of the show?
Holy
if you're
smokes.
a Tommy's fan,
sorry, Tommy's fans, but ouch.
It's a brutal weekend because if you would have just swept or even done fairly well, you'd have the McNaughton Cup and you could be flip-flopped with Augustana right now and possibly be in the tournament. So really painful weekend, honestly, when you look at it. And apparently they've never just won regulation in Bemidji, so I don't know why Bemidji is so cursed for
Thank
St.
God they're
Thomas.
leaving the conference.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'll be a much easier road from here on out.
I don't know. But they take a 3-1 loss to Bemidji State and then a 2-2 shootout win. So obviously you need all the points possible. So the extra point definitely helped. But at the same time, left wanting a lot more from that.
With a regulation win, they would have tied.
Yep.
If they would have had one more point, they would have tied Mankato.
That's
one more
that
point.
Was this was one of those things. This is modern 2026, but certain things are more interesting to follow via social media than actually watching them on TV or radio.
Right. Yeah.
This was one of those where I'm following social media on Saturday night and it's like, oh my God, St. Thomas is going to overtime. That means Mankato's going to win the league. It's like,
exactly.
Because there's a point that's gone, It's just
you could watch one, like 3 different strings, and all of a sudden it's just insanity. And then how does Jared get into the mix? Because he's covering Bemidji. Like all of a sudden Bemidji has never been so relevant except this weekend in college hockey.
Yeah, it's just insane. Friday, just a couple stats of the game. Kirkland Irie, I believe is how you say his name, North Dakota's own. Shorthanded goal to start the game. I believe his first goal of the season, so obviously a big time to score. Oliver Peer doubles the lead. He's been really good this season, even though Bemidji's been a little disappointing. Bowerberry, shorthanded goal for the Tommies, but Riley Funk, late goal to seal the win. Carson Musser, interestingly enough, in net both nights for St. Thomas. So, again, spin the wheel of goaltending.
You never know who you're going to get.
Know. Never know. Saturday, again, the Tommies still have not won in Bemidji. It's just cursed for them. 2-2 tie, but Tommies win the shootout. I believe Lucas Wallen had the shootout game winner. I didn't see footage of it on Twitter, but I believe he had that. Notable, Adam Flamang still out for Bemidji, so that's a piece that obviously they're going to want to be back.
He's got to be a senior, isn't he?
I think he is, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because he's one of those guys where you're like, hasn't he been here forever?
Forever.
NPI rank after the weekend, St. Thomas moves down 2 critical spots to 17, which is bad.
Hurts.
Very bad. Again, this is a painful weekend for them.
You're no longer on the bubble.
But the differential between 13 and 17 is minuscule right now. So every win, the UConn win, all these wins are just
small in a big way.
Right now.
Bemidji stays at 46, so obviously for them, they'd have to just keep winning now. Up next for these teams, now that we have playoff seeding set, again, the playoff seeds were very crazy because there were so many ties in the top half of the standings. St. Thomas will be taking on Lake Superior State at home. It's a best-of-3 series for the Mason Cup quarterfinals. And Bemidji State will travel to Augustana, where they have played pretty well this season.
Yeah.
So honestly, not bad for either. If you're St. Thomas, you really need to get those wins versus Lake State. I think they could do it. So that'll be big. And kind of just to segue into Augustana, they were off, like you said, so they didn't play, but they moved up 3 spots in the NPI regardless to 14.
And I wasn't saying they're drinking beer.
No, they were studying. They were studying. They were at the library.
Keeping a close eye on all the games. I'm sure of that.
But Augustana then receives the number 3 seed in the CCHA. Will play at home, best-of-3 series versus Bemidji. Interestingly enough, Bemidji won the first 2 games of the series. One went to overtime, and Augustana won and then tied the second set of games. So this has been a very competitive series. So that might actually be kind of a fun playoff best-of-3 to watch is Augustana Bemidji.
And then after these series, do they stick with the best 2 out of 3, or do they go to single
I believe it's
game?
singles.
I think they go to single
I think it's
elimination.
the same for most conferences now.
I love that.
I just got to say, too, if you're going to give your kid the first name Kirkland, please tell me you met at Costco. And that was...
like,
I'm pretty sure it's a Grand Forks family. There's another Irie.
You're working at
Costco.
You fell in love.
Bismarck?
It might be Bismarck.
Yeah.
You're working at Costco. You fell in love. You had a son.
Yep, and I got a sweatshirt, a Kirkland sweatshirt, and some golf balls.
Pair of jeans. Whatever.
Exactly.
I just remember his name because he was on that Sioux City team a couple of years ago in the USHL when I followed the Clark Cup finals, whatever year that was. They played Madison. I was at a bunch of those games.
They won
that.
Yeah,
he's a Bismarck Century guy. Bismarck
like
Century. So that's kind of cool.
Patriots, I believe. Bismarck Century.
Really? That's a newer high school.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Minnesota State, to wrap things up, they win the McNaughton Cup, but they didn't necessarily have an easy time with Northern Michigan. But again, if you're Northern, this was your final games of the season.
Yep.
Empty the tank. Leave it all on the ice.
They don't make the playoffs, so 2-2 tie, shootout win for the Mavericks, and then a 3-0 win versus Northern Michigan. If they would not have won the shootout, they would have tied for first for McNaughton Cup and for seeding. I'm not sure how all the tiebreakers would have played out, but I'm sure, like we already said, the cup wasn't in Mankato, so they got the cardboard cutout, I guess, to celebrate with.
I love it.
Friday, Campbell Psychos has a goal. That's cool. Shout out Albert Lee. And Mason LaBelle, who I watched a little bit with the Norsemen when he played in the Null. They had the goals. Northern Michigan's goalie played his heart out, 42 saves, and then shootout goals for Jack Smith and Jordan Ron. Love to see it. Saturday, Evan Murr had the eventual game winner. So, again, Minnesotans kind of up and down the lineup for
littering the score sheets.
Mankato. Ian Samoza, Tristan Lemire had the other 2 goals. Notably, Liam Hupka still out. So that's obviously a piece there. And in NPI, they are 16, so they are going to need to for sure sweep Ferris and make a deep run into playoffs here if they want a chance at the NCAA tournament.
I'm not sure we can. I'm trying to figure out how we can get 2 CCHA teams in there. I still think it's going to come down to just one team.
You would honestly need Augustana to get to the final, and then you'd need probably, well, I guess Minnesota State's ahead of St. Thomas, so you'd probably need Minnesota State then to also get to the final. And then also get some luck along the way as well.
Where it gets goofy this time of year, too, is you need to have chalk in the other conferences. You can't have any
need some luck as well.
If Air Force wins 2 games in their conference tournament,
and they just won 2 games this weekend.
Yeah.
They swept Bentley.
To pick a name at random, Air Force.
No, but it's a good point. Like
or Robert Morris or whoever it happens to be. I mean, you need to have the higher seeds.
You would probably at this point, if everything was chalked, would need Augustana to sweep all the way up to the final, and then either Mankato or St. Thomas sweep up to the final, and then have them win, and Augustana get in at large. But then you'd have to get really lucky too.
Quinnipiac, Dartmouth, and Cornell all can't get beat.
Yeah. A lot of ECAC teams.
The ECAC teams can't get beat, or it's going to be trouble. Yeah,
it's a weird year. And Hockey East, too, you never know, because some of those teams are not in right now, and you never know if BU got hot or something.
Yeah.
Randomly.
Speaking of, congratulations to Providence. Saw them posing with their league trophy.
Yes.
Finally? They deserved it, especially the last 3-4 weeks. They've been just rock solid.
Yeah. So kind of just a crazy week in the CCHA. If you want to look at the standings, go look at them because it's literally the top half is insane. All the ties and all of those teams are so tough. I mean, Michigan Tech or Bowling Green, too, could make a run here
any of them could.
At the auto bid as well.
Not as exciting for us. But
they're tough. It wouldn't be as fun for us, but they're all tough teams right now.
Absolutely.
And before we get into NCHC standings, they kind of had the opposite. They had a wild finish to the bottom half of the standings. So before we get into that, Tony, do you want to talk about the USHL, and then we'll get into
Glenn
NCHC?
Heffron, the USHL commissioner, will be in the Twin Cities this week for the State High School Hockey Tournament, and he will also be in one of those 2 chairs to tell us a lot about the USHL this weekend. And I think they have some big announcements coming up about the league, and I think all of those will benefit our staff here at YHH and more programming related to junior and college hockey, which will be very, very exciting in my opinion. And it's just been a great league. I mean, you're really kind of you're the hipster when it comes to the USHL. You and Peter, you guys, what happened this weekend? I feel like we saw a lot of different goal scorers and interesting play.
We had another very funny random. If you love random tangents of the people at YHH talking about random things like hockey, but then it veers into other stuff.
Right.
You should go listen to the Junior Hockey Pod, because last time I think we ended up talking about WWF and sumo wrestling.
Yeah, of course, because that has a lot to do with the USHL.
Yeah, so if you like hockey and listening about junior hockey and then funny stuff as well, we got a lot of great combo things. And we also, one of the big things of the week, Thomas Gunderson had a 5-goal game.
I saw that.
In the Null. So that was a big one that we talked about.
He's a Congdon Park kid from Duluth East. And I also saw Simpson, Cooper Simpson had his 30th goal.
Yeah.
He played high school hockey in Minnesota at Shakopee High School.
I believe
he'll be headed to North Dakota.
Yeah.
I would guess next year. I think if you're scoring 30 goals
I mean,
in the
he's
USHL,
one of the top scorers.
You're ready to go. He's ready.
We're recording another episode tomorrow, so we got a bunch more to talk about. And a couple commitments coming in over the past few weeks as well. We talked about Harper Searles, and he's going to Air Force now. So
he's in Des Moines.
Couple cool commits and stuff as well.
Harper came to our Lumberjack Cup tournament in the end of December, and he and his dad came. And I'm like, what in the world are you doing here? He goes, well, I'm home for Christmas, and my billet family in Des Moines, their 2 brothers are playing in the tournament. One was a PWB and one was a PWA, so I thought I'd come out and support them and watch them. And that's just the most Harper Jake Searles thing to do. They're just rink rats, both those two.
I was going to say, I just watched Centennial as Kellen, his brother.
That's his little brother.
Okay, I was going to say, I was like, that's another
that's his
Searles.
little brother.
I got to say, this is a month ago or so now, because God knows they've been off for 3 weeks. But after a Wild game, home game, Damon Hunt, defenseman, comes in the locker room. We're just kind of wrapping up the interviews, and he's got this big group of people with him. I don't know who any of them are, but they're taking pictures with him. They're posing, all this. Turns out they were his billet family from when he played junior.
Oh, nice.
No way.
And here they are. He's not a superstar in the NHL, but he's in the NHL.
To them, he's a superstar.
And in some, major junior team in Western Canada, some family took this guy in, and he's showing him around his locker room stall in an NHL locker room. I thought, what a cool moment, when you decide to be a billet family, because it's not easy to do.
No.
Taking, kids who are homesick and, they're 17 and dealing with everything that comes with being a 17-year-old boy. And, sometimes things don't go well on the ice, and you have to basically, adopt them as your child and all of that. I mean, what a cool thing to see, though. So
I love hearing
anybody who's
like
signed up to be a billet family, God bless you.
Yeah, you're going to hockey heaven for sure.
It's not an easy job, and I have friends who run junior teams, and you always see them advertising, "Hey, we need billet families." So
you always need them.
It's not easy to come by either.
No.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep rolling.
So kind of the opposite of the CCHA, the NCHC. Instead of having a crazy race to the finish at the top, there were some interesting storylines, but it was more of a race to the finish in the bottom because everybody was really tight in the bottom half. So it's kind of the opposite.
So the bottom is CC, UNO, Miami.
Yeah,
and
so
ASU,
it was all
right?
pretty tight. Like St. Cloud finished 5th with 30 points, and then it goes 29, 28, 24, 22. So a lot of different things could have happened this weekend.
As we talked about, league rules dictate we have to have a Bulldog Husky playoff series.
Yeah,
so we did get that, thankfully.
Yeah. And then just, we kind of thought maybe it was UNO was going to finish last, but a crazy turn of events, actually Arizona State, their season is now over. They missed the playoffs by 2 points. They would have tied with Omaha. I'm not sure who would have won that tiebreaker, but their season is now over. I'm not sure if you guys saw the video of Ness.
You tweeted that out for us.
Yeah,
Ness,
nice. Lucius, and Shimmick. Somebody got a video of them
leaving
the ice.
It was a writer for ASU. It was a student writer from ASU.
Yeah, because it was likely all their last times because Shimmick and Lucius having such a good season, and then Tucker Ness. I think it was the only senior. I think they might
on the team.
said.
Yeah.
So. That's their last game. And Bennett Shimmick actually ended up winning the NCHC scoring title for league games only. So,
really?
Yeah, and I think Lucius was like 2 points behind, and everyone was commenting all the top league scorers were from like the bottom half team. So
what's the kid's name from Miami who destroyed it in the first half of the year?
I know I'm not sure.
Maybe not
who exactly it was, but Tyson Gross, I think, was second for St. Cloud, and they're in 5th right now. And then, just kind of a weird year in that regards, but Arizona State's season's over. I mean, what a weird year for them after last year. They, did
getting
to
St. Paul, and their first year in the league. And
right.
It's interesting. I was in Tempe, I think 4 years ago at this time. They were still an independent then. They were having kind of a down year, and talking to Greg Powers then, he said, for a while it was, let's just be an independent. We're fine. But he said in a year like this where it's obvious, we're not going to make the NCAA tournament because they were, maybe 30 in the pairwise at the time, and it was, 3 weeks left in the season. He said, it's a challenge getting these guys up to come to the rink and getting them to, hey, we're going on the road to Fairbanks. Everybody get excited, that kind of thing.
And as an independent, you don't have that shot to get in.
Yeah. Well, different now. They have that independent tournament that's going to start.
Yeah, but it's not going to matter.
Not going to matter. I mean, it's just
what is this independent tournament? I don't know what
we'll talk about it later, but it doesn't.
Okay,
it won't matter.
But so the point is they got into the NCHC, which I think is a great move, not only for them but for the NCHC. But this has got to be a big shock when you have, players like Lucius and Shimmick and, the years they had. All of a sudden, 2nd of March, and it's like, well, we're done. Pack it up.
Over.
Yeah. I mean, it is great, though, to see teams not be on the bottom all the time. I'm so glad that Miami isn't finishing last now, finally, and so many times.
Pulling yourself up off the mat for that program.
So excited for them.
Yeah,
to just be excited again. But then kind of going into some of the games, North Dakota played Western Michigan. They weren't super close in points, but if Western had won all 6, I believe they would have passed North Dakota, but they would have needed literally, I think, all 6. But interesting series, 5-3 win for North Dakota night 1, and then an overtime loss night 2. So split asterisk. I don't
4-2.
know. But Friday, Sam Larilla, first career goal, open scoring for North Dakota. That's a big one there. Will Zellers had the eventual game winner. Saturday, really back and forth game. Owen Michaels wins it for Western Michigan. North Dakota officially wins the Penrose and the number 1 seed in the NCHC tournament. I also
Speaking of free space.
Yeah. Much like the McNaughton in Mankato. Gee, another Penrose trophy. Do they even print T-shirts anymore? I mean, it's
what's the point?
Yeah, so they officially get that, and I did see too. I wanted to shout out Schlossman's story recently on EJ Emery.
So cool.
Yeah, that was a really cool one.
Great article.
Yeah, so if you haven't
read
that,
that story. I haven't read it yet, but it was a great story.
It's a great story.
Tell me about it for those of us who don't know.
EJ Emery wanted to find out more about the first black player at North Dakota, so kind of a story about that, and I just thought that was a cool one because I wouldn't have really known any information about that, so kind of cool that they gave that guy a shout out.
Akil Adams.
I remember him about 1992.
So that was super cool.
I think he was out of Detroit.
Yep. So they told his story a little bit in the art, or Brad told his story a little bit, how he ended up at North Dakota. It was between North Dakota and St. Cloud and some other school, and he got there and you're like, hey, are they going to be good to me here? And he goes, oh yeah, if you play for the Sioux, they'll be good to you. And they loved him, and
celebrity.
Same exact thing for EJ. They love him too. So it's pretty cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, EJ has a pizza named after him. I think at Deke's Pizza now. Isn't there the EJ? Yep. I think something like that, which is so funny. But yeah, that was a cool story. So if you want to find out more about that, go read that because I thought that was super interesting and cool, unique story. But NPI rank, no change for North Dakota. They're still number 3. Up next for them,
John Buchagras, by the way. Yeah. He does his weekly rankings of college hockey teams. He moved North Dakota up to number 1 this week. So highly controversial, but I saw the
I stand by
Gage Osmuses and the TJ
ago.
Oshis of the world retweeting it because
who should be number 1? I mean,
maybe he listened to our podcast from 2 weeks ago and he listened to me saying that North Dakota seems pretty good right now.
Yep.
Maybe he's a listener.
You did pick last year's champion.
I did. Well,
in December.
Not at the beginning of the year.
Unbelievable. She's like, I think Western, this is their year.
Yeah,
she kept saying that. I'm like,
pieces.
What does a girl know about hockey?
Wow. Very, very presidential of you, I might say.
I wasn't thinking that. That was my sarcasm voice there.
We know your sarcasm.
Said that. I was like, and then if she was right.
I remember you guys were like, wow, that's a bold take.
Meddling girl got it right.
Western got a vibe.
They were. Along those lines, heading into the 1920 NCAA season, we all know how it ended. It got canceled because of the pandemic.
2020.
I thought you said 2019.
2020.
I don't have my 1920 stats out here.
Yeah.
2019-2020 season that ended with the pandemic.
Back at the Rink Live, we did a preseason podcast with Matt Wellens and Schlossman and me and Mick Hatton, the whole crew. And it was, okay, the season's just starting. It was September. Who's your pick to win the NCAA tournament? And there were a lot of, I can't remember who everybody picked, but I kind of went off the board. I said, watch out, Penn State is going to win the NCAA championship this year. Now, they looked at me like I had grown like a horn out of my head or something like that. I will note, Penn State won the Big Ten that year, led the nation in scoring, and was heading into a home playoff game with Minnesota when the whole season was canceled. So, Schlossman still claims that North Dakota should hang a banner, a mythical national championship banner for that year. Minnesota Duluth was coming on. Mankato was having, at its time, the best season in history. I mean, it's just so sad on so many levels that the pandemic wiped out all of that. And I did note, by the way, 6 years ago today, I got my credential approved for the Detroit Frozen Four that never happened.
Yes.
I'm okay that season ended because as a Huskies fan, they were about to go on the road to Kalamazoo and things would not have been good. I remember that.
On this, was she on this podcast?
I don't know if I was at the time, but I was later at
that time.
Because I was wondering whoever she picked is pretty much the winner.
I don't think I was at the time, but I was on that podcast eventually.
Correct.
But as the host.
My saddest story from stuff getting canceled, like just that shock. I think it was like a Tuesday afternoon when we started getting phone calls. Like
Thursday was when it all.
Yeah, the saddest story I remember was Colorado College, who had finished last in the NCHC. They're somewhere near Alexandria, I want to say, on a bus going to North Dakota for a playoff series.
Turn it around.
And they get a phone call. Oh, by the way, season's done. Turn around, head back to MSP.
Yeah, because I think literally the Huskies may have been en route to Kalamazoo. I think literally it was like, I don't know if they were already.
I was scheduled to fly to State College the next day on the Gophers team plane for a playoff game.
Yeah.
And they had already announced they were going to play with no fans. But they were going to play the games anyway, and then 24 hours later.
Strange time.
And the other great story about that, Sampo Ranta, who's playing for the Gophers at the time, from Finland. They cancel the season, they cancel school, all of that. I found out he had made his way back to Finland because everything had been canceled. So I got a hold of him on WhatsApp and did an interview, and he said, I got a flight out of MSP. I got to JFK, and he said I literally got the last plane to Helsinki, and it was a 747, and there were 6 people on board.
No.
I mean, it was basically like a private jet, except it had seats for 400, and
yeah,
he was one of.
There's at least 300 seats.
Yeah.
But kind of eerie, because I'm sure at the time you'd be like, I don't want to sit by and don't get me sick with
Right,
this
exactly.
mystery.
Yeah,
You didn't know what it was.
You could
at the
spread out.
time.
You could socially distance on that plane.
Plenty of it. Plenty of it.
Yeah, what a time.
All right, on to UMD and CC maybe?
Yeah, so just for up next for North Dakota, they will play Nebraska Omaha at home. They swept UNO all 4 games this season, so you would assume that it would keep up, but you never know. UNO can be a tricky team at times. Minnesota Duluth, yeah, like you said, CC comes to town. They split 4-1 loss and a 2-2 shootout win. So I'm not even sure if you want to call that a split. Kind of a weird weekend.
Remember a couple weeks ago when I was saying whatever happened to Caden Mbarico? Yeah, wrong thing for me to say. As a former Bulldog,
now he's back
because he reinserted himself into the conversation, and good for him.
Yeah, and Huskies fans are thankful to Duluth for getting the shootout points because otherwise CC could have passed up St. Cloud actually. So things could
would have been bad.
Flipped, which as a Huskies fan, you'd rather play UMD than Western because just Western, obviously, you don't want to play the reigning champs. But Friday, Owen Beckner has the eventual game-winning goal for CC, and then they add 2 empty net goals, so really the score might look a little different than what it actually was. UMD actually played Ethan Dahlmeyer in net. They did not play Adam Guyon that night. He made 15 saves. Mbarico, though, story of the night, makes 39 saves on the other end of the ice, so obviously just had a really big night. Saturday, CC, one of their newer guys, Brandon Lizowski, I think is how you say his name, has 2 goals. Zam Plant has 2 goals. Adam Guyon is in net this night, but then CC puts in a different goalie for Saturday.
Really?
So
that works.
Okay.
That adds up for me.
Yeah, so all right. Not sure the story there. A fairly long shootout. I believe Jason Shagaby had a goal in it, but the eventual winner was Daniel Schlein, got the shootout game winner.
Right.
So kind of
He's
cool
a
to
good player.
see that. Notably, a couple notables from the weekend, they had Adam Johnson night, and it was also, I believe, the first home series since Hoagie passed, so kind of just an emotional
cool
weekend.
Cool little element to that. We talked about Hoagie last week.
Yeah.
Dale Hogginson, long time, Mr. Everything Sports. So Dale was developmentally disabled, and apparently he would come to the rink sometimes, little unkempt, little sloppy.
It's the greatest. This walk-up is unbelievable.
Bunch of players walked in.
All of them.
With their belt missing one belt loop, because that was apparently part of Hoagie's.
They all dressed like him.
Yeah.
They wore
And had,
khakis and
T-shirt and
tennis
khakis,
shoes,
yeah.
T-shirts.
So
they dressed like Hoagie on their walk-up. It was like
awesome.
Cool.
I'm like, usually they're walking up in suits and sunglasses and their coffee. They all dressed up like Hoagie that day. I was like, this
Fantastic.
is well played.
And they
right
had a
here.
nice memorial service for him at Amsoil Arena. It had seats set out on the ice, and it was packed. And
Well done.
Yep.
I got a question for you, Sydney.
Yeah.
What is UMD superfan Bitco on
Yeah,
Twitter went to his 400th Bulldogs
So
game?
UMD
Who
made
is
UMD
Bitco?
made a tweet about it. The team made a tweet about
That's
it.
incredible.
Well, I know him from Twitter as
400
somebody that tweets a lot,
games.
and because he's also a fellow Ghost music fan.
Yeah, oh,
So
boy.
I know
Here we go.
familiar connection. I don't actually think I've ever met him in person, but the team tweeted out like, "Congratulations on your 400th game." I was like, "Oh my gosh,
so Bitco
400!"
is your burner.
It is not. You
Is
know,
your
I
burner. Just like Minnesota Hockey Dog
I would
is
say
my
it
burner.
is.
Here's the tweet.
That
So I'm
I don't
pulling
even
up-
know
that's
his name.
unbelievable.
I don't even know his real name.
so
I don't know
I
Minnesota
actually-
Hockey Dog's real name either.
I actually know the guy's name's David Cummings. He's a teacher.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Okay,
I
and
just know him
here's
as
the great
Bitco.
part. His wife, Bethlyn, she was Meanie Girl,
Oh,
Michigan Tech superfan. She went to Tech.
Stop
So
it.
they met through college hockey circles.
okay.
I knew her as Meanie Girl. I knew him as Bidco. Well, I know
Yeah.
both of them now. They've been married, I want to say 6-8 years
Okay.
now. Here's the great part. Their wedding
How old are Meanie Girl?
they got to
and
be
Bitco?
30 now.
30-ish?
30.
Oh, really? Okay. All
Early
right.
30s. Here's the best part. Their wedding, center ice at Michigan Tech.
Love it.
They got married
Wow.
on the ice.
Did the Michigan Tech band play for
I
them?
believe the band was there.
Yes.
Yep.
But I was just like, wow, 400
So I mean,
college games.
they've got to be the first couple of college
lot.
hockey.
Yes.
You see it a lot in the
That's
USHL,
impressive.
actually, of fans getting married at USHL And I'm like, wow, that's
one of my
that's
favorite.
committed to the bit.
One of my
That's
favorite
committed.
moments in college hockey, just of fans kind of bugging each
I
other.
love that.
I'm at a Michigan Tech at UMD hockey game. It's got to be 15 years ago. And one of the and Michigan Tech had sent a fan bus over. So there's a group of about 30, 35 Michigan Tech fans all in kind of, this is the old deck, kind of in one corner. So it's more than 15 years ago. Anyway, Bethlyn, Mini Girl, is one of the fans in the Tech section. Now, if you know anything about Michigan Tech, it is a male-dominated school.
Yes.
yeah.
You know, there aren't
engineers.
It's an engineering
Technical,
school.
Yeah.
It's always been, the joke is, there are just no women at Michigan. That's obviously not the case because my friend Bethlyn went there.
Not too many.
Not too many. So at one point, the UMD student section starts chanting at the Tech fans, "Where's your women?" Back and forth. Well, there's 3 or 4 girls in the crowd, and they all wave their hands, and this is where it gets kind of mean. They chant back, "Those aren't women." It's like,
Oh, no.
come on, guys,
Oh.
that's mean. And then Tech won the game in overtime. So cosmic justice. Don't be a jerk. You be a fan, but don't be a jerk.
I used the word cosmic in my vocabulary as well today.
There you go.
It's crazy.
All right. Well, yeah. So I thought that was just crazy because 400 college games, that's a lot of college games. So that's wild. And then obviously, like we said, it happens so often. UMD will play St. Cloud State as the 4-5 seed game, and normally it always is the 4-5 seed game as well, or 3-6. In the best of 3 quarterfinals, it will probably go to 3 games. Some of them will probably have overtime. Battle of the Dogs again.
I call it the Highway 23 throwdown.
At least the games are always very entertaining. So, hopefully then at least it's just a good weekend of hockey. And if you're St. Cloud State, you're playing for your season because you lose this, you're out.
They're done. Yeah.
They got to keep going.
And UMD's pretty secure.
And if you're
10.
Duluth, you're 10. So if you got swept right away,
that'd be rough.
You'd be in, but if a bunch of crazy things happened, you never know. But they'd still
I
probably
still think
be
they're
okay.
safe.
But
if you get swept, if you're the Bulldogs and you get swept, you're in for a rough couple weeks of watching the
You'd be
scoreboards.
in, but it'd be uncomfortable. Yeah, because what if all these crazy things happen, but they'd still probably be in?
What gets really goofy about those games?
Union wins the ECAC, all of a sudden,
What gets goofy about those situations too, and we've seen this happen more than once, is a team that's probably in the NCAA tournament gets beaten round 1. Okay, so now they have to sit and wait for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
What's goofy about that is how often do you practice? If you've got guys that are going to sign once the season's over, and they're sitting literally waiting, it gets real goofy that way sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's some teams out there. I think Maine can make a run. I think there's some teams that are outside of the 15-16 right now that can win a conference tournament, which if you're between 10 and 14.
Yeah. So
or
a
even
little
10 and 16.
crazy.
Can I reassess? This used to fit me. I just want to remind everyone.
Yeah, this one never fit me. This is the Southwest Jersey 10 to 15 years before I stepped foot on the ice for the Indians.
Plus, for anyone who is designing hockey sweaters in 1985, rayon does not breathe.
No.
I just want that to be
but it's nice and warm in Worrell. So
yeah, that's true. You're probably built for warmth, not for comfort.
That's right.
Where I grew up.
A few other NCHC notables. The top half finished then, not surprising, North Dakota, Denver, Western, and Minnesota, Duluth. And then, like we said, Arizona State finishes last.
And they're out then.
Yep, they are out. Season over. Big Ten is always a little bit behind. Minnesota still has one more week of regular season games to play. This past weekend, they split with Michigan. If you're a Gopher fan, you go, okay, that's a good win. Friday, yeah.
Thursday, Friday series.
It's a good parting bet. It's a good parting gift.
Yeah,
for them.
4-2 and 4-2. Just win one, lose one. Friday, Brody Ziemer, again, just seems like he's carrying the team sometimes.
Was it this year that he got the? Was it this where he? No, it was last week where he scored, and he's now scored in every building.
I don't know, but he had 2 goals, 1 assist. Luke Mittelstadt 2 assists. LJ Mooney 1+1. Tanner Ludke a goal.
Of note, by the way, I saw this by winning the first game of this series. Gophers have not been swept in a season series by a single opponent. I think it's going back to 2012. Because they had lost the 2 home games to Michigan. So if they would have lost these 2, that would have been a sweep in a season series. Still hasn't happened. So good for them.
Yeah.
Well, that goes to how strong the program still remains, even in a really bad season.
Yeah.
Even in a year to forget, there's still some superlatives.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Brody Ziemer. Man,
The Brodies are,
Yeah, they're doing well.
The Brodies. In net, Luka DePasquo had to stop 37 shots, so you probably would want him to not be facing as many. He's still facing a lot of shots. Jack Ivankovic only stopped 11 in net for Michigan, so kind of a weird night there. Saturday, Javon Moore and Beckett Hendrickson score. Asher Barnett has the eventual game winner in the third, and then they added an empty netter. Michigan did get a cross-checking major, but no goal on the power play for the Gophers. Shots pretty similar night two, nothing too crazy. Looking at the...
Good to see LJ Mooney back.
Who played in goal for the Gophers in the second game? Did DePasquo play that game as well?
I'd assume so because he played so good night one.
The reason I ask is, they put out like the social media post. I think it was on Instagram, and it was a picture of Nathan Airy saying, tonight 7 p.m. whatever it was. I just wondered,
interesting,
because DePasquo has been kind of the guy they're riding, down the stretch here.
But I mean, at the same time, did that game really matter? No. So, if I go to the box score really quickly, it was DePasquo again, stopped 29 of 32. And then just notably, Michigan shook up lines a lot in night two. It sounds like they were pretty frustrated with that loss in the first night. How lucky of a team do you have to be to have a fourth line of Will Horkoff, Aiden Park, and Malcolm Spence?
This Michigan team. This Michigan team is
I was just looking at that. I'm like, wow, that is most other teams' first line.
Yeah,
far and away. And I know they shook things up for night two, so that probably isn't usual. But just wow, that shows some of the depth they have this year. NPI rank Gophers move up 2 spots with the win. Big Ten, they are 6th, 2 points behind Ohio State. Unfortunately, though, they have another tough test here. They play Michigan State to round out the regular season this week. It is another Thursday-Friday series, so mark that on your calendars.
Ohio State's done, though, aren't they?
No.
They might be?
Michigan's done.
Michigan's done.
Michigan's done. So Michigan is leading the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, but they're not going to win it.
I think it's by 2 points, maybe.
Yep, so 49-47.
The Gophers, ironically enough, could hand Michigan its first Big Ten regular season title if they were to
win these two games.
Sweep these two games.
Thursday, Friday series. So
another Thursday, Friday one, huh?
Yeah, I don't know.
No thanks.
But I guess then something to watch Thursday. So make sure you remember.
And who does Ohio State plays Notre Dame? So.
And we'll get to it in a minute, but Notre Dame actually
based on what I see,
weekend.
Minnesota is going to be the 6th seed, and they're going to go to Penn State.
Yeah, we'll see. I
got
looking likely.
Yeah.
I have some other Big Ten notables too, but first, before that, shout out to our other sponsor, APX. You can go to apx-hockey.com for all your training and development needs. There are limited spots remaining. I believe most tiers are full, but if you're looking for goaltending training, I believe we have a few goalie spots left, or in our APX girls program as well. You can train with Olympic gold medalist Karin Bai. Or we have tons of awesome advisors, and I got a bunch of other cool content coming out this week. I just talked to Rosemount and Gentry's head coach this weekend, so a couple comments from them for some boys content for this week. So should be super cool.
Yeah, Ricky Sainty has really done it right, hasn't he?
Yeah, excited for Rosemount. We got a lot of APX guys on that team, and we got a couple of the Gentry guys as well. And also shout out Jackson Cook. He's been tearing it up. He's got like 33 goals this year or something.
Yeah, he was in our Prep Elite League and just
I remember, I think I interviewed him after a Pell game this summer and just
rang it up.
Yeah, just having a crazy season. So
one note, since you mentioned the Big Ten playoffs, change this year. They're going to single elimination. They're not doing the best of 3 in the first round.
Well, maybe that's
what? So they're 1-round games.
First round. I'm just reading off of College Hockey.
Are you giving the Gopher fans hope?
Yes, I am.
Anything can happen in a 1-game playoff.
I am now.
So wouldn't that be
this is from College Hockey?
Yeah, Penn State, no chance.
I'll just read it. Penn State hockey tournament will shift to a 2-week single elimination format. Remember, before it was a 3-week tournament, and coaches didn't like that. Just spread it out too long.
So how are they doing it in 2 weeks then?
So quarterfinals are on Wednesday, March 11th.
I love this.
The number 2, 3, and 4 seeds will host the 5, 6, and 7 seeds.
Yep.
Semifinals are on Saturday, March 14th. So 3 days later.
At the reseeded sites.
Number 1 seed, and then we'll host the lowest advancing.
Yep.
So you play the quarterfinals on Wednesday, and then 3 days later you play the semifinals.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
Nice.
And then the championship will be the following week. So it'll be a 2-week format instead of a 3-week format. And let's face it, those 3-game best-of-3 series.
They're so bad.
How many times did we see? I mean, sorry, Gopher fans, but it wasn't part of the season ticket package. So how many times did we see 2,000 people?
It's in March when there's like a youth state tournament,
and it's usually
tournament.
state high school hockey tournament weekend.
Yeah.
So sorry,
So
but
bad.
that's sucking all the air out of the balloon as far as hockey in Minnesota goes.
Yeah.
You know, there were nights where they played Michigan in first round series, and there were literally 2,000 people in the building.
Even if it's the next weekend where it's the state youth tournament, all the state youth kids are off playing in the state youth, and guess where the non-state youth kids are? They're on vacation because their season's over and they've been playing hockey since October. All right, time to go to Florida, time to go to Arizona. So, and no offense, but like a lot of their fans are generated by that.
This is a better way to do it.
I think so.
And
too.
I also say this as a member.
Love the Wednesday game. That's super cool.
We're all members of the media. I will say this anytime. We generally don't care who wins.
No.
Any game.
Yeah.
There's one exception to that rule.
Oof.
Best-of-3 series. Whoever won the first game, we want them to win the second
Saturday.
game. Because nobody wants to come back for
Don't
a
want
third
to
game.
do Sunday, yeah.
No.
Nobody wants to come back Sunday.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that.
That's the only time we
Very
actually
accurate.
care who wins a game.
I want
Saturday
them to
night,
win.
we
Yeah.
want a sweep.
I
Very
do want the
accurate.
sweep. I agree.
Accurate.
Sorry, Gopher Husky
You
women's
know what?
fans.
Even as a fan, I want that to be over.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
just be done.
Because nobody wants a 5 o'clock
We
Sunday
should just go
afternoon
back to
game.
best of two games, total goals. It was so much easier then.
Oh, come
She doesn't even know what that means, I'm sure. Do you have any idea what
Quick-
I'm talking
Yes.
about? You do.
Yeah.
quick history.
I haven't experienced it, but I know about it.
You know,
Oh,
what the,
I've
you know,
talked
what
to
the-
some-
you know what the
experienced
problem
it.
with that format was? though?
Everything besides everything. What?
Yeah. The problem was when you'd get a 7-1 game in the first game.
It's just
Second
a goon
game would
fest.
just be slap
Yeah,
shot.
that would just not.
Goon fest.
Yeah.
Total goon fest. I've been to
Absolutely.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how chippy Huskies Bulldogs is this weekend because that playoff series also just gets.
It'll be 3 games for sure.
3 games, a bunch of penalties, at least
Fights.
2 reviewable goals that take
There will-
5 plus
I'm going to predict
minutes.
it now. There will be a face masking penalty in that game.
Wow.
Where
Bold prediction.
Someone grabs a face mask. and
Tony,
gets
what
5
percentage
minutes.
is it again? Who is going to take that penalty against Gavin
gonna,
Thorson?
It's going to be someone on Gavin Thorson. I agree. I will go. God, it's going to go. Adam Kleber is going to grab Gavin Thorson.
Adam Kleber is 2 feet taller than
He
Gavin
is. He's
Thorson.
going to grab it and you just throw him down. That's what's going to
gosh.
happen.
Minnesotan on Minnesotan crime.
Yep, there it is.
Other notable games. We were just talking about the Big Ten. Michigan State loses and ties to Ohio State this weekend. 5-1, and then a shootout.
Is
the
Ohio
next
State
night.
playing its best hockey?
Well,
that shootout, by the way, I watched that shootout.
Yeah.
It went like 13 rounds.
I did.
It was ridiculous. Ohio State had at least 4 or 5 chances. Just score a shootout goal and you sweep the series.
It would've been amazing.
Granted, it's Trey Augustine. It's not like it's,
Right.
you know.
A brick wall, basically.
Yeah.
Adam Nightingale, I saw, went on the ice and was chatting with the refs after one of the games. Not happy. So I didn't watch that game, so I'm not sure
I didn't either.
all the things that went down, but not excited about that. Another weird Big Ten result, Notre Dame ties and beats Penn State. In the win, Danny Nelson had 2 goals and Maddox Fleming had a goal.
Maddox Fleming. I do Summit scores.
It's wild.
I have not written his name all year. He
Yeah.
may have more than one goal, but I
Maple
don't
Grove
know.
kid?
No, Maddox from Rochester.
Rochester.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Maddox
sure.
from.
Yep.
But it was great. I
Yeah.
coached Maddox. He was
When it's Notre Dame, you just assume Maple
it is
Grove?
Maple Grove.
Yeah.
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 Not a bad assumption. Not a bad
Yeah,
assumption.
so big week for Notre Dame. Cool, I guess.
I think
to
it's
see it.
awesome.
The Gophers fixed Notre Dame. After they had
guess
that
so,
great weekend
yeah.
against the Gophers, all of a sudden they're a real
Yeah.
hockey team again.
I
I don't
it.
know.
They're gonna.
I
you
think
know,
it
be
was
the 7th
senior
seed.
night too, so maybe they were just extra
Wouldn't it be
excited.
cool if
and
they upset Michigan State or Michigan?
just
they could
get
do it.
full chaos in the
Just
Big
make
Ten.
it complete chaos.
You guys already talked about this too, but Providence really turning it up lately. You know, people were kind of worried. They lost their starting goalie Philip Svideback a while ago.
How come
and
every goalie's last name is hard to pronounce?
I don't know, but it seems like all they've done is kind
Thank you, Trey Augustine,
better
for
and
making our life
get
easy.
better, and they won the Hockey East title. You already said they might be, even though they're a top team, they might be kind of one of those sneaky tourney teams. Everyone knows the big Hockey East names like the Boston schools, but Providence is just kind
They're
of
just stuck at 6 all
quietly
year.
just pushing and playing
Yeah.
well. So I wouldn't really want to be
One
the
of-
team that gets
I
them.
don't believe in any of the Boston teams.
Yeah, so watch out
None
for
of
the
'em.
Friars. I have a Friars jersey. So
I
maybe
I
should
actually
wear
own
that.
a Friars jersey too with the
They're
skating
sweet.
friar on the
They're
front.
sweet.
They're nice.
And you know what's my favorite thing about Providence? Black and white. Simple.
Simple.
Yeah, they're cool.
You don't even have to use color film.
I'm hosting a camp at Providence this year.
Yeah, they're sweet.
The Boston camp where we normally host it is the same week as the World Cup.
Yeah.
The hotels in Boston were $559 a night.
It'll never go back.
Not a good
there
camp
again.
experience.
It's outgrown Providence, but I went to 2 Frozen Fours in Providence back when it was
so
the Providence
cool.
Civic Center. I think it was Dunkin' Donuts Arena later.
Yeah.
About 11, 12,000
I was going to
seats.
say 12,000, yeah.
Great AHL rink and downtown it's one of those East Coast cities where everything is
Super
3 blocks
cool.
away.
Super
Just a
cool.
really cool historical city. So if your favorite college hockey team has a series at Providence, go.
Yeah, I agree
it's a
with that.
great city. It's got some of the
I
charm
would
of
think
Boston
St.
without
Thomas
the traffic.
would be going back there, wouldn't you be thinking? Because they
Yeah.
hosted
Probably,
both
yeah.
teams this year.
If they did
I would think
yeah,
one
agreement.
or both of those teams would be going back there next year.
Yeah, not sure. But speaking of hockeys, we also had a very wonky finish. We already talked a little bit about it with the lights going off with the UMass UConn game. A goal, there's a no goal, and then they rushed the other way, and the person thought it was a goal, so the lights are like going black and red, and then they end up not scoring. And if they would have, that could have
Change
made some
NPI.
pairwise things. So I would be so pissed if I was their coach.
I watched the play now. I mean, it wasn't a.
Also, who's
it was not
running
a
the
clean,
light?
I know we'll get to that, but it was not exactly a clean 2-on-1.
No, like I'm
There
not
was a
saying
good-
I'm
there was
not
a
saying
trailer
they
within
would have
that.
scored. Like it wouldn't have been like
It would have been a
gimme
shot
that
on
they
goal for
scored,
sure.
But I would be very upset by that.
100%. I'm not saying that, but it wasn't like it was a clean breakaway or something.
Someone suggested this. Might have been Schlossman. There's got to be a rule against dimming the lights after a goal.
Also, I agree with everyone
Because you want your players to celebrate. You want the player, the
Yeah.
fans
You want
to
to
see
shoot a
them.
photo of it where it's not in the dark. It's
Everyone
brutal.
was talking online too, and I think it might have been Schloss who started it, who said, like, why are we doing the dimming the lights? And I agree. I hate that. And I know it's a thing.
Do strobe lights, whatever you want
I
to do,
know
but
it's a thing in juniors.
don't make it dark.
Like, whatever. I get it's a thing with a lot of USHL teams. Whatever. That's different, I guess, because
No,
it's
I
a different
hate
league.
that
But
too.
I don't like it. It's hard for photographers.
Sorry, Glenn.
It's disorienting. It's not. Who is it fun for?
If you do it in the
Not
pregame,
me.
like in the starting lineups, I'm fine with it.
That's different.
Do a
That's
spotlight
different.
Before
all
the
that.
clock starts.
Light
Absolutely.
show for
You
starting
want to do it the
lineups, yeah.
extravaganza between periods? Do it that way.
Yeah,
before
I
the shot.
agree,
Don't
yeah.
do it after goals.
When they're coming
I
out of the
agree.
tunnel or something, but don't do it. Yeah, don't do it after goals.
I
Then you can't see Sellies
Couldn't agree with
either.
you more. No, you can't see anything.
Yeah, it's annoying. So I think we all agree with that. So that was a weird finish to that game. And Tony, I think you mentioned this too. Bentley
Swept.
wins Atlantic Hockey and then is swept by Air Force this past
Yeah.
weekend. So there's Atlantic
They must have been
Hockey,
resting their starters.
Shout out to Robert Morris. They moved up to like 4th in that conference.
Yeah.
Right, after a rough start to the season for them.
They're on fire.
Yeah, and Air Force too.
Air Force is doing quite
catching
well.
fire at the
Yeah.
right time.
Did you notice who was rushing the puck for UMass and should have scored a goal in that play? On that play,
Primas, Justin.
that was
Kerr.
Justin Kerr. On
He's
the
turned it up
UMass
lately.
rush, coming up at the camera,
Well,
but not
because
the one going away.
Is he the
obviously.
only Minnesotan? He might
I
be the only
think
one on
so.
the roster.
I know that Barrett Dexheimer's committed there.
Because he's in the USHL still, I'm
Yep.
pretty sure. So
Yep.
I think he might be the only Minnesotan on UMass this year.
Yes.
I think. And then Jess briefly mentioned it as well, but there's going to be an independent team tournament. Because they don't have an auto bid, they're just counting as regular season games. So they're having a tournament, but it doesn't mean anything besides, I guess, just bragging rights that you won.
I'm okay with that.
Lindenwood's going to have a banner next year. Watch.
Yeah, so it'll be
That's maybe my prediction.
Lindenwood
Lindenwood,
or Alaska Fairbanks.
They're going to put a
I
banner up
guess.
for the independent champion.
Absolutely, they will. Why not?
Probably.
Oh, okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
They have banners
yeah.
for holiday tournaments they've won.
So
I'll
that'll
give you that.
happen. And it sounds like after the past week, it sounds like the Maryville Division I program is a go. It sounds like they're planning to start in 27-28. So we'll see any official things.
I
But
love that.
that'd be cool because then they could add that to the independents and maybe they could get an auto bid then if they
They can make a conference out of it, and they would have a natural rival
so we'll
with
see.
Lindenwood.
That'd be awesome. Get some
Good by
Minnesotans out
me.
there.
Neighborhood rival. I like it.
Omaha recently announced a jersey patch sponsor. Is this just the beginning of the end for college hockey jersey sponsors? Are we going to turn into the European leagues and have
I don't mind
all
it.
the
What's the
McDonald's
difference?
and-
Nike's been on the jersey
I'm
for
fine with it.
30 years.
fine with it? Because I know some people are very upset about that, and some people do not
It's
care.
going to be weird when the Penn State team has a Buffalo Sabres patch on their jersey because we all know who funds
Who
the
owns
Penn
it,
State
yeah.
program. Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be the beginning
North
of
Dakota
something.
would have had one from the Imperial Palace Hotel and Casino.
We'll
Absolutely.
see, yeah. And then just something, too, that has been talked about a lot is I put NCHC, but I meant NCAA. Do they need to adjust the 26-man roster cap? Because so many teams recently are pulling up club team guys. Mercyhurst had to pull up 2.
The 26.
Does it need to be 27? Does it need to be 28? Or do teams just need to deal with it?
I can speak to this. So there's 26 schools, and then there's non-26 schools, right? Yeah. And and it has to do with your NIL money.
I believe
right?
so. Yeah.
So like the Gophers, for example, are a 26 school, right? But they're giving full scholarships to those 26 kids, and then there's the non-26 who don't come from a bigger conference, and you kind of make your choice. And if you're a 26 school, that's what you're ride or die with your 26, and you can't change the roster. And those greater than 26 can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I like the rule the way it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of varying opinions. Some people don't care. Some say just deal with it, and other people are like, no, it needs to be increased. It needs to be 28.
No.
I don't know.
Quick side note, since you mentioned Mercyhurst.
Yeah.
Rick Godkin. It's his final season. Been the coach of the Lakers forever.
Yep.
Forever.
Fantastic guy. He's on the
led
NCAA.
them into Division I hockey.
Yep. He's on the NCAA tournament committee, so we see him at the Frozen Four every year. Just a fantastic guy, a great ambassador for college hockey. He's had some great players come in and out of there, run a good program. I want to say best wishes to him in whatever comes next. And I've got to tell one of my favorite college hockey stories.
Ooh, this is one of favorite?
But just in terms of post-game quotes. Sometimes you get just a post-game quote that you never forget. So Mercyhurst makes the NCAA tournament in 2003. The Gophers are hosting the regional that year. So Mercyhurst's award for making the NCAA tournament is they have to come to 3M Arena at Mariucci and play the Thomas Vanek Gophers in their own building. Okay.
That was Vanek's freshman year where they won the national championship.
Did
they beat Ferris in the next game?
They did. The first game is against Mercyhurst. Gophers win, I want to say 7-2. Okay. Not a close game.
Yeah.
And about 10 minutes in, it's 4-0 Minnesota.
Yep.
And it's just, it's the blowout everyone would expect it to be when you've got the defending national champions on their home ice against a team that's never been, I think it was their first trip to the NCAA tournament. Okay, so after the game, it wasn't me that asked the question. I wish it would have been, but somebody says to Rick Godkin in the post-game press conference, Rick, when did you know your team was in trouble? One of the greatest lines ever. Rick says, just absolutely stone-faced, he says, I tried to call a timeout during warm-ups, but the officials wouldn't
let me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never
Every time I see Rick Godkin, I'm like, that is the greatest line I've ever heard. You talk about gracefully accepting a defeat. It's like, hey, we didn't get messed up by the refs. There was no extenuating circumstance. We got our butt beat by a better team.
The Gophers played Ferris on a Saturday, I believe, to go to the Frozen Four, and at home at Mariucci. And I'll never forget, a friend of mine, Matt Lockhart, calls me and goes, hey, I got an extra ticket to go to the game today. Do you want to go? I'm like, sure. Unfortunately, Jake, my 3-year-old son, and his mom were going to go to the NCAA basketball was being hosted at the Metrodome. I got this 1-year-old with me, Olivia. I go, she's going to have to come with. And I'll never forget carrying this is before they put the headsets on the kids. And so I'm carrying a 1-year-old into Mariucci, and the place is absolutely undone whenever the Gophers score loud. She's just staring around, looking around, and somehow I made it through all 3 periods with Olivia in my arms for an entire game. But that's how I remember that series really well.
So congrats on a great career, Rick Godkin. Going to miss you behind the bench. Hopefully we see you at the Frozen Four still. Just a great coach, a great guy.
Quick look at the NPI. Nothing too crazy changed. Minnesota Duluth went down 2 spots. Otherwise, 12 through 16 at the moment would be Wisconsin, BC, Augustana, UConn, and then the Atlantic winners. Sacred Heart, currently the highest Atlantic team since Bentley moved down a little bit. First 5 teams out, Minnesota State, St. Thomas, Maine, Bowling Green, and UMass. So we'll see how the next week shakes up. But the top
3 of the 5 from the CCHA, as we talked about.
The top 10 teams pretty set. The other chunk we will see.
I think Dartmouth is in a good spot.
Yeah, I'd say top 11 are pretty much locked.
I think they're in a good spot. Where Wisconsin could be in trouble if they lose to a low seed.
And BC, too, has been really up and down, so that's...
Yeah, I think 12 through 15 are all iffy at this point. They have a lot of work to do in the playoffs, especially Augustana. We've beat that drum to death.
Summit scores, I don't know if you had any specific people, Tony.
Well, Maddox Fleming was one. Super nice kid from Rochester. I've got to know him a lot over the years. What a nice kid. I'm glad to see him on the score sheet.
One guy, too, that's been having a really good season that I'm trying to pull up his Elite Prospects page to see how many total points he has. Isaiah Norland's been having a nice season. And he's one of those guys, too, had kind of a weird path. He was in the BCHL. He was originally committed to Clarkson, I believe.
He was a Gentry kid.
Yeah, before the coaching change, committed to Clarkson, then went to Omaha, and now is in Colgate.
Yeah.
And doing pretty well, and was one of those guys who he's a really big, he's listed as 6'6", 205.
He's a good player.
It needs a little time to kind of catch on, and just last year had 1 assist, and now this year is 26 points for Colgate, so kind of cool to see that.
I think one of the guys here that we don't say his name very often is Aiden Willis from Lakeville South, Ludke from Lakeville South, so a little bit of Lakeville South. I've always wanted to do, when I put the pictures up, I just want to do like a theme. Like, okay, I'm going to do all kids from Warroad, or all kids from Gentry, all kids from wherever, just to kind of do a theme. It never really works out. So I can only get 2 out of the 3. I can never get like 3 to do it. So one day I'll get that.
But a lot of the usual suspects, otherwise, not anybody too surprising on here, honestly.
But Jacob Jeanette scored like the last 4 weeks, and we had not called his name in 2 years.
The gif of him.
Yeah, and he's got this gif where he's rubbing his bald hair.
I love it.
I love it.
I like in your notes you put Nick Hong, Shattuck kid, and you put USMA.
That's him. That's him.
Me.
That was him.
I always put USMA.
Here's what I love.
I put AWP.
For people who don't know, United States Military Academy.
Yeah,
it's
that's
Army.
okay, right?
Now, at one point, they were known as Army.
AWP.
Then they insisted for a while that it was Army West Point.
Okay.
And now I'm seeing United States Military Academy.
It's one less character than Army, and I'm trying to keep the characters down to 3.
AWP.
There's some you just can't mess with, like Maine. What are you gonna write? MAI? That doesn't make any sense. There's a couple out there that just get me every time. Like, all right, I'm just gonna put Maine. Mich. And there's 2 MSUs. There's Michigan State and Minnesota State.
I always feel bad for does Jossie do the women's ones?
Oh, she sucks no matter what.
No,
you say.
I always feel bad
sucks.
because how are you going to abbreviate Assumption?
You can't. You can't. I put ASC.
So I think she'll put AC for Assumption College, although I think it's university.
I think it is university now.
I think maybe she does AU or AC because I'm like, you can't abbreviate it to ass.
It's too hard. No, you can't do ass. That's a hard one.
One of my favorites, it's a college basketball reference, but NCAA tournament, Bradley is playing Pittsburgh.
Oh, Brad
Pitt.
On screen, it said Brad Pitt.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. Great. I love little things like that.
Otherwise,
Zach Halverson from K-Fan he's like the total nerd about how everything gets displayed on TV and the clocks and the setups and stuff like that. I'm like, I've never really noticed the setups on TV.
The on-screen graphics. It's amazing when you watch a game from even 10 years ago how they've evolved.
How evolved they are. Yeah, I love how great they are now. They got shot clocks and timeouts left. They have so much there to tell you the story of the game without even watching the game. Or I think they set a lot of this up so guys can watch them in casinos and bars, and all fans to watch. I think those graphics are really helpful for when there's no sound to tell you what's going on.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, that's all I got, you guys.
That's all I got. That's it. Another exciting week of college hockey. Any thoughts going into this weekend? What's going to happen this weekend? Is something great going to happen this weekend?
I just saw a really good tweet that I thought I should mention from Mavs hockey fan. About the NCHC. Fun fact about CC and Omaha. Omaha played 0 OT games all regular season. In NCHC play, CC played an overtime game every weekend except when they played Omaha. Just thought that was interesting.
That doesn't answer the question, but you just answered the question.
But I just thought I'd throw that in at the end.
You know what I like about that for Omaha, though? Your record is like 16-10. There's no third digit. You don't have to deal with or overtime wins or overtime wise. It's just wins, losses. Boom, done.
So there's my final tidbit.
I like that tidbit. I'm just kind of looking forward to seeing which Gopher team will show up at Mariucci's this weekend.
Yeah.
Will it be the one that can beat Michigan or the one that gets swept by?
I'm not even looking forward to anything because it's the boys' tournament this week, so I'll see how much college I get to watch.
I don't think you're going to see much. I don't think you're going to see much. There's going to be a lot of it. Should be a fun weekend at the.
Good luck to Cathedral. They're in, right?
Yep.
They are, but they're playing against my other team I root for in Mott. I love cheering for Mott.
Why are you a Mott guy?
Because just Mott is awesome.
It is awesome.
Anytime we interview Coach Poschel as the media after the game, he seems so nice to all the media
He's
people.
the nicest person.
So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to cheer for Mott now.
Remember that one Mott game where they played? Who did they play? It was like 3
and Mott
years
just
ago.
Always, no matter
they
their
played
team,
somebody. They had
good.
They had the Brimsick winner and they had Mr. Hockey on. Which team was that? I totally forget about what that was.
Mott?
When Mott won the state tournament.
Oh
yeah, it was Warroad.
The
They
2OT
beat. They beat
game?
Warroad. It was
Yeah.
one of the best games. That is.
The
I
kid
know
jumping the
Jess
glass.
doesn't like what I'm saying, but that you got to admit that's one of the best high school.
I remember
hockey
that
games
was
you've
one
ever
of the
seen.
best games I've ever
I'm
seen.
sorry, I was taking a call. What were you talking about?
Me and the Rink
was
Dead
one of the best.
coworker Eli Swanson were just
Tragic.
stunned. In
That
the
was
press
a great
box.
It was a great hockey game.
Tragic.
It was a great hockey game.
That was one of those
it was
games.
A good hockey game. Warroad had 2-goal leads a couple times in the third
Former
period.
the Rink
Yeah.
Live coworker Eli Swanson, who works in baseball now, I believe, was writing up his headline because I was in charge of doing the press
God.
conference, and he
It's
was
his
writing
fault.
it.
It's Eli's fault.
Only loss of the season for that.
And he
Warroad
was
team.
writing
Yeah.
up this great
Undefeated.
story, and then all of a sudden in 2OT, we're like, oh, it's got to be Warroad. It's got to be, but Mott's pushing. I don't know. And they win, and I just remember we were like, just
Johnny
sitting
Grove.
there.
I was at.
That's right. That's who it was.
I was at
yeah.
Ritter that night for I think it was a
Eli.
UMD Gopher women's
We were just like,
Playoff
NCAA
game?
tournament game. Yeah,
Mott
sitting next to Matt Wellens, another former colleague of ours.
And I remember, I think Coach Poschel said the play was called Lava Cake.
Yeah, well,
I think
there
that's
was
what they
lava
said. I
cake
think that's
on
what
that
they
thing.
said.
I mentioned this off air, but 8 years ago tonight was my final day as a hockey dad. My son's final high school hockey game.
They lost a Mott.
It was a section final to Mott. So between that and the game that you just mentioned that we'll never talk about
Mott
again.
Cathedral will be
I'm
fun.
not a huge Mott fan. But hey, good luck to everybody. It's a lifetime dream to make it to the state tournament.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Hope everybody does well and has lifelong memory. Here's my impression, having been part of a state tournament team. I won't claim that I played on the state tournament, but I was part of a state tournament team. Here's the thing about it that I always stress to people. It's 3 days, and then it's over. I mean, you literally dream about it all your life, and from Thursday to Saturday,
It's over.
boom, done. It goes so fast.
Yeah.
When you think of, if you're a kid, how much time boy or girl in Minnesota, how much time you spend thinking about and dreaming about what it would be like.
Training, yeah.
And, Wednesday night you have the banquet, and then Thursday you play, and if you're really good, you play Friday and Saturday too, and then it's done. Sunday, if you're lucky, you get a nice little welcome home in your high school gymnasium, and everybody gets a medal and all that, but man, it just goes so quick. So
It does.
So if there's any kids listening who are playing in this thing, soak in every moment.
Every
Take
second of
pictures. Remember everything you can because it comes and goes so quickly.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to our sponsors, the USHL and APX Hockey. We'll see you guys around the rink.